and welcome to the show. My name is Sarah Davison, best known as the Divorce Coach, helping you to cope better with any kind of breakup. Now, today I'm going to be answering a question from someone who's really been struggling to cope. Now, on the outside, she is super confident and super sorted, so she looks to everybody else as if she's doing okay. She's been going through a separation with her husband. She's got 4 kids who are older in their 20s. But this has really hit her like a freight train. But she's one of those people who comes across as if they're holding everything together just fine. So if you met her, you would think that she's got it all under control, that it's not hurting her too much, and that she's managing to keep moving forward. And she kind of feels that that is how she's supposed to cope. She's been through other tough times in her life, and this is a coping strategy that she's developed that has been very successful for her in the past. Now, let's not forget that however strong you are outwardly, we're all human beings, and however well you can cope and keep putting one foot in front of the other, whether it's for your kids or so that you can get up and go to work or so that you can just avoid facing it, really that pain is still there. And what she said to me in her email is that everybody looks at her as someone who's strong, and she is strong and she is coping. And I see this with my clients in my clinic all the time, that they appear strong on the outside, so people don't think it's really bothering them that much. But actually the truth is, and especially with us Brits, with our sort of stiff upper lip, we don't really allow people to see the real true pain that's going on inside. And quite often when clients turn up face to face with me in my clinic, one of the skills that I use is my people reading radar, which is something that I train my breakup and divorce coaches to use, which allows you to see beneath just the words and what's being presented to you. So really when you become like Sherlock Holmes, if you like, and you really start delving in to body language, but also words and phrases that are used, maybe little habits, maybe just an underlying level of stress or anxiety that shows with certain little movements or gestures that they may make, but also on a level sort of energetically as well. So, yeah, I've got this email and this lady is suffering like a lot of my clients do, because she's feeling that everybody thinks she's okay and she doesn't want to break down, she doesn't want to be upset, but actually it would be really nice from time to time if someone was kind to her or offered to help her out. She doesn't like to ask for help, and you know, people think that maybe she's happy with the split when she's really not happy with it. It's left her brokenhearted. She's ashamed to talk about it to people because she doesn't want people really knowing the truth about why they broke up, which was because her husband has had an affair behind the scenes, which has just rocked her world, destroyed her confidence. But for the outside world, they don't see that. So does this ring true for any of you? Any of you think of times where you've been going through heartache or pain, but because you put on a strong persona, because you can deal with things in the moment and get through, that people don't recognize that in you? Now, you know, it can be quite difficult, and I know a client that showed up in my clinic the other day, she was very bubbly and even sort of joking a little bit and very focused on the positives outwardly of, yeah, well, you know, I'm sure now I can get dating again, and focused on the positive. But inside she was broken and really upset and destroyed and devastated. And as soon as I started to sort of peel back those layers and ask her questions into that more vulnerable side of her, she did break down, and we managed to she managed to open up, and we managed to unpack some of those issues and face them. Because one of the challenges you have, if you are a strong person, that you will have a coping strategy that keeps you going. Okay, which will enable you to get out of bed and go to work and be a great parent and do all the other things that life demands that we show up for these days. So, you know, quite often we'll have a strategy to enable us to do that. It might be an unconscious strategy, but we have a way of dealing with difficulties and challenges that we can still get up and manage our daily life and routine and show up for those that need us. Now, there's another side to that, which means that in order to be able to do that, you have to be stuffing your emotions down. Now, there's a time and place to do that, of course, because you want to be empowered enough to be able to get out of bed and do the things you need to do. So it's a highly effective strategy, but beware, okay? I want you to beware of doing this all the time. You need to be able to open up and face what's going on without constantly stuffing, is what I call it in my book, Uncoupling. For those of you that have read it, we talk a lot about stuffing down your emotions and the negative impact that stuffing down those emotions will have on you and your mental health, your physical health, and actually relationships moving forward. Because think about it like this: if you still haven't dealt with those emotions that come up during a breakup and you stuff them down to enable you to cope, whilst that is an empowering strategy to get you through in the short term, in the long term you're not dealing or addressing or even grieving the end of that relationship or those issues. So we need to face them at some point so that we can let them go, so that you become stronger. You face them. It's almost like the bully in the playground, those negative emotions that we don't like. Once you confront them and you stand up to them and you face them eyeball to eyeball, that's when you can start to dial them down and take your control back over them, rather than your only effective strategy is of just pushing them down out the way. Now, what happens with that is that they will show up in other ways. So, for example, you might drink, you might party, you might go out all the time. You know, I had a client who would get up super early before work and go to the gym, and then go to the gym and then go straight to work, and then after work would try and find someone, even people he didn't even know, to go for a drink with, just so he didn't have to go back to the house and be on his own again and miss his wife so much. Understandably, of course, totally understandable and normal. But the challenge was he wasn't ever allowing himself time to face up to those negative emotions and process them. So when he met somebody new, he could never truly be fully committed to that. And when they broke up, it hit him like a freight train, so much harder that it confused him. Because he was saying, Sarah, I don't understand why I'm so upset. I didn't truly love this woman. Like, you know, I care for her, we had fun, but she was definitely what I've termed Miss Right now rather than Miss Right. So he said, so I just don't understand why it's hit me so hard. And we kind of peeled back the layers and discovered that actually he'd never properly grieved the end of his marriage. And he'd been so devastated by it, he'd stuffed those emotions down to a point where he could get on with his life, although it was a very packed schedule he'd created for himself to distract him from everything. And that meant that when he went into a new relationship, he wasn't able to fully commit because he was still hung up on that. But actually, that's your body's way of protecting you until you are in a safe environment, able to process those negative emotions. You know, so we hear about it a lot with PTSD, that people don't deal with it in the moment because their body just isn't prepared or capable of doing it, or maybe you don't have the right support around you at the time to do it. So it will come out later on in life, maybe when something which is a little bit more manageable to cope with, more acceptable, maybe easier to handle. But then we'll be surprised by, why are we so upset about something that isn't really that important to us? Well, it's because it's not just that issue we're dealing with. Like, he's not just dealing with breaking up with his girlfriend. The underlying issue is that he's now having to grieve the end of his marriage, triggered by the end of this girlfriend relationship. So, stuffing your emotions, whilst it can be, it can enable you to operate, and it can be a successful strategy for those of you who are strong, and you guys know who I mean, like those people out there that are listening to this that resonate with the fact that sometimes you have to dig deep, suck it up and get on with it. And I know how tough that can be, but if you're capable of doing that, just be aware that you're not doing that consistently, that it's not your coping strategy for getting through this relationship, it's just to ignore it and push it to the side, or push it down and just get on, or replace it with other things like drinking or partying. You know, some clients do something slightly more healthy. They might throw themselves into the gym, which I suppose is good for fitness and also good for your mental health if you're exercising. Strong body, stronger mind, able to make better decisions if you've got more clarity of mind. You know, working 24/7. I've got another client at the moment who literally has thrown herself into work and is taking it home and working weekends and evenings. But it's all a distraction. So what I want to enable you to do is to take a step back, take a breath, and start to look at the issues that you think are really there and not be afraid to face them. Now, I would suggest you do that in a safe environment, and maybe someone like myself or someone in your local area who can help you through those issues. It might be a local charity that can support you through that. There is help out there, or go to your local doctor, GP, and ask for the support. You know, it is important that you don't push away all those memories and lock them up, because they will come back to bite you. And I want you to be able to move on free of it. And you can be, you know, if you start to face those fears, you'll be able to dial them down. Just distraction is not enough in its own, okay? You need to support it with actual techniques to help you let go of it. So for example, you could try brain dumping everything that's worrying you if you face it, write it all down, and then, sit with that and say, how much longer do I want to carry this around with me? What is my life going to be like in a year's time? If I haven't faced up to all these negative emotions, all these issues that are in front of me, what is it going to be like for me to be living the same life in 5 years' time? Can you imagine in 10 years' time, if you're still dragging that baggage along with you, what will your life be like? And if you can fully associate to those negative emotions in that situation you're in right now, it will give you the motivation to maybe shred that piece of paper, burn it, rip it into tiny pieces, but start doing exercises that are going to enable you to start to let go of that. And also, instead of just focusing on the past, also start to think about the things that you can do now that are going to make you happy. What are the things now that you can do that are going to build your confidence back up? Hang around with people that support you and make you feel good about yourself. Talk to someone about your breakup. Get that support and advice so that you're not shutting it down as an area that you don't talk about. And also start to paint the picture of your future even brighter. Okay, so a lot of my clients will be stuck, and I'm going to talk about this in an upcoming video about being stuck and why are you stuck in life. I've had a lot of emails about people feeling stuck, and there's a great technique for shifting that and helping you to let go of your ex and move forward. So I hope you found that useful. For those of you who are strong and stuffing your emotions, then I hope it's been really useful for you and to stop you making those mistakes which can hold you back or you might have to pay for later on in life. So if you do want your questions answered by me, then you can email me personally directly at sarah@sarahdavidson.com. You can also follow me on social media, Sarah Davidson Divorce Coach, on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Or just email me direct with your questions and I can answer them on one of my upcoming episodes here on YouTube. So I hope you found that useful. Do follow me. If you would like some coaching personally with me, then check out my website, sarahdavidson.com. Big hugs, mwah, and I look forward to seeing you soon.